Hey, everybody, welcome to the Contents of This Package podcast. This is episode 2 today, and today we'll be talking about our latest sample loop pack, Lo-Fi Keys Volume 2, which was executive produced by Joel McNeill, who is the co-founder and head composer of Soul Surplus. Joel, how you doing, man?
What's going on, everybody?
It's nice for folks to actually hear you because you're not like the spokesman of this company, like in no way, shape, or form. You kind of reside in the shadows.
Behind the scenes.
Ain't no slightly about it. You're all the way behind the scenes. My man Joel is 30 miles behind enemy lines at all times. You know what I'm saying? With the binoculars, like, y'all good?
Gotta watch everybody else's back.
Exactly. But yeah, man, no, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we had a considerable amount of success on the first volume, and it's interesting how that even came about. We had initially set out to create this particular pack for another platform, and I think we quickly realized that we should probably keep this one for ourselves.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those that we want to have in the company's repertoire.
Yeah. So, normally our normal forte is, composition packs, sample packs. Lo-Fi Keys was another addition to the loop pack family, going all the way back to the Rhodes packs, volumes 1 and 2, Smythe's guitar packs 1 and 2, John's bass pack 1 and 2. And so this was a bit off of the beaten path a bit with Lo-Fi Keys, in that it was a loop pack, but what we were doing was adding a lot more variation from a tonal standpoint. And I guess you could say in volume 1, it was pretty moody from a sound standpoint. So in volume 2, what mood can we expect?
You could expect a variety of things. I tried to keep an open variety for the different types of producers that may utilize the sound pack. So I would say you could expect some soulful stuff. You could expect some couple dark hip hop tones. You could expect some. One thing I think I incorporated a little bit more than the last pack was some sampled stuff. So I would take some keys that I already laid and resample them for the guys that really want that sampley sound but don't know how to get it. That stuff is in there too. And then there's stuff of me just playing for those guys that really want to, get a keyboard player or a piano player and really chop musical parts and little intricate parts of those audio files. So there's a variety of things in there.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting too, because if you type in lo-fi on any platform, especially YouTube, you're going to come out with a whole myriad of producers who are creating quote unquote the lo-fi sound. And probably like 95% of the time it's piano based with some low pass thrown on it, or some type of warbliness to give it like that vinyl sound.
Yeah, it seems to be the really popular thing right now.
Yeah, and it's, in my opinion, I think the main reason why it's people like to listen to that stuff when they're moody, and I think that's why I think the overall mood from volume 1 was very, very good, in that I think we kind of, we marketed to that crowd.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got some people looking out for volume 2, so it definitely raised the hype for it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we literally had, and this tends to happen more so with the loop packs. It's like we put them out, and then almost immediately there are people saying, "When's volume 2 coming out?" It's like, bro, this joint just came out 3 days ago.
they must really be using the stuff.
Yeah. So it's great. We appreciate the guys and the gals that support us, and
always.
Yeah, man. So on volume 2, there's an array of keyboards being used. You have grand pianos, electric pianos like Fender Rhodes, and if I'm not mistaken, you actually threw some of the newer boards that you have down in the studio on this one too.
Mostly, yeah. We got the Oberheim, the Matrix 6 for some of the synthy, keyboardy, brass type of sounds, but you could kind of low pass them to give them that lo-fi sound. You can't really tell exactly what the sound is, but it just sounds really mellow and warm. And we grabbed in 88 keyboard controllers, so everything's being played kind of with a realistic keyboard authentic touch. It's got the everything's got all the keys, got the kickback, and it just feels really authentic. So everything was played on that. Outside of the Rhodes, of course, everything else was MIDI if we're using like any synth stuff. And we used a lot of plugins that did some like digital tape, some tape harmonics and harmonic distortion. We threw that on a lot of stuff. So everything has that really gritty and mellow sound, but there's a couple bright textures on there, but for the most part everything's obviously got that lo-fi feel to it.
On volume 3, which is nowhere near to be coming out, we we talked about going all out, going to, various studios that have different types of, so we even considered on this one going to Gradwell just to
Mhm.
record all the piano there, but we decided to pass this time around and maybe do
Mhm.
that the next time. But on volume 3, we're definitely going to be going all out, taking, might take us about a month to finish it out.
Mhm.
And we're going to be running everything through reel to reel and various forms of tape to get that super lo-fi sound on
Yeah, it's gonna
volume
be
3.
dope.
Yeah, man. So on volumes 1 and 2, you used uh, digital plugin versions of these particular methods. What were some of the go-to plugins to achieve this particular sound?
Well, I'd say the most utilized one was definitely Keyscape. If we're talking about plugin wise, Keyscape. Mostly the piano, upright piano tones in there are really dope. The Wurlitzer they got in there, that's pretty much mostly all I use. The Wurlitzer, the piano, and then the Fender Rhodes we have, and a couple of the synths, and that's mostly it. But mainly those three things. You could expect a lot of Wurlitzer, Rhodes, and piano, and then those tones really like flipped and sampled and reversed. There's all different types of stuff in there.
Got you. And when you do that, what particular? So I know you use a lot of UA plugins,
Mm-hmm.
especially like tape modulation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can you let the listeners know like how you go from A to B when you're creating this? Because I know you said I did this and I
Mm-hmm.
did that, but can you give like a little bit of a detailed breakdown
Yeah,
of
definitely.
the method of going from actually laying out the actual chords to the finished
Mm-hmm.
piece?
So basically, I'll set up a loop. So the contents of the pack, there's going to be six folders, 6 different BPMs, um 8 bar loops, 10 loops per BPM. So there's a 60 loops. And so I just set up a loop. I'll set up a loop in Logic. I'll keep an open track for the Rhodes, keep an open track for like a few keyscape patches, and then all the synths are like ready to go. So everything's pretty much up and ready to go. I could move around and get an idea on any instrument at the same time. So I'll sit at one instrument, play a couple loops, find one that I like, I'll lay it down. Then I have like a chain of a bunch of stuff that I could process. I start with a little bit of compression. I'll use like the 1176. Most of it is UA. A couple other plugin companies, a lot of UA. I'll take the if I don't do compression through the Neve, which is the Portico 2, which I'm recording a lot of the Rhodes through, and some of the synths I'm busting them to that. I do a little EQing on there, maybe some compression. Add a little silk from the knob, whether it's red or blue, which basically the red gives it like a high, kind of intensifies the high end harmonics, and the blue kind of uh, is more, it controls more of the low end harmonics. And then so that'll be my EQ and a compression. I'll start with that. And if I'm in the box, I'll use some 1176 compression or some LA2As. Then I'll move on to some like I guess some type of effects, whether it be a delay, chorus. I'm gonna try to actually look at my chain that I got here. So I'm reading this exactly from my Logic chain. I got a LA2A compressor. I got a Sheps. This is Waves 73 for a little bit more EQing. I got a Volf compressor, which is made by the guys at Good Hertz. Echo Boy, so Sound Toys, a lot of Sound Toys stuff. some more good Hertz plugins. One called a Wow Control, which gives it kind of that wobbly lo-fi effect, and you could add some noise and a bunch of stuff on there. UAD Ocean Way, which is like a room plugin. Some more Sound Toys, Effects Rack to get some of those weird effects going if I need them. Valhalla Reverb. Then I get down to the tape emulation, and I use the UAD Ampex ATR 102 for that, or I'll use the Abbey Road Waves plugin for the vinyl effect. And then that's pretty much it. And a Valhalla delay for some that's a new plugin by Valhalla. They got some really cool delay sounds in there and some weird effects you could get in there. So that's pretty much the whole chain that I use for everything. I'll just kind of incorporate different plugins depending on what I recorded and mix it up and get some really dope sounds out of that, some textures.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm pretty sure the listeners I hope they're taking notes.
Yeah, all those plugins that I would definitely recommend every single one of those.
So one of the things that I really love about those particular plugins, especially like a Keyscape, is mic placement is so important, especially when it comes to live instrumentation, and the fact that, again, this is probably the only pack where it's all MIDI, where it's all VST, I should say, not MIDI, but
yeah, pretty much outside of the Rhodes, kind of all in the box.
Exactly. So the thing that I love especially about it is the fact that these companies have done such a great job of figuring out a way to, this is literally sampling at its highest form. So these guys have recorded and recorded and recorded and recorded to get to a place where you could literally move the mic and, through algorithms and whatever they're doing on that digital side, the things that they're doing, kind of, if you go too far, man, you can get galaxy brain real quick.
Yeah.
It's trying to figure out how they're doing everything. But could you speak on the importance of even like mic placement, or even if you're doing like a piano, having the lid closed or using an upright instead of a baby grand or a grand piano, as far as like texture and sound?
Oh yeah, obviously any of that stuff will change your tone, and it'll ultimately affect your final audio file or your recording, and ultimately your product. So all that stuff is super important. A lot of it is subtle, as we know as producers and engineers. A lot of music, a lot of times, is a lot of subtle things that are just compiled, and just it presents ultimately a final product that isn't subtle. It just sounds really amazing. So all those things like mic placement, if the mic is far, obviously you're gonna pick up a lot of room, or you gotta boost the gain on the mic to pick up the instrument that is further away, and you're gonna get a lot of room. If it's close, you could pull the gain down a little bit, and you're gonna get a lot more of that instrument. So it's gonna really sound like it's in your face. So a lot of those things are super, super important to the recording and the quality and the sound and tones, everything. You're going to get everything you change about recording with the mic is going to change the tone. What else is there? So you got like the Rhodes. If for instance, if I'm playing through my through the Portico, the Neve, which is just a preamp and an EQ, and it's got a compressor on it. If you boost the gain on that, you're going to get a little bit of that hum from the Rhodes, because it's an old instrument. You're gonna get there's some type of there's some wires in there that are close together that haven't been touched for 30, 40 years or whatever, and you're gonna get a little bit of a mechanical hum, or you could pull the gain down and EQ it a little bit better, and you could get a more clean sound. So it depends on what sound you want to get, and everything. It's really fun because there's, quote unquote, no wrong way to do it, unless you're just recording something that sounds bad. But there's no wrong way to do it. You just record something. If it sounds cool, you can mess around and really get some cool textures and tones out of all these instruments.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting too, because we recently just had a request from one of the folks that buys our stuff. He was like, "Hey guys, I love your stuff, but from time to time when I'm in the process of mixing, I feel like I'm having a hard time because the textures are so rich on the packs." And he was like, "Do you guys think that you would ever do a pack that's dry?" And my response was, that's not going to happen because that's who we are, you know. So
Yeah,
when
most of
you
our stuff's got that grit to it. So a lot of it, I find
yeah,
myself just leaving untouched when I do mix it
yeah,
or use it in production. And yeah,
exactly.
that's our sound. And maybe something there may be a few things in the pack that are a little more clean than others, but this is a lo-fi pack, so everything's gonna have that grit on it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you know when we used to sample from vinyl, I shouldn't say when we used to. When we sample from vinyl or we
Hmm.
sample from old recordings, any type of noise that's in there, whether that's from the needle, dust on the needle, or even just the fact that this is an older way of recording, so there's just going to be noise
Yeah.
naturally, in the track anyway. And we couldn't go back and ask those guys, hey guys, listen, I'm sampling your original composition. I was wondering, could you
Hmm.
maybe just send me a super clean butt naked version of that
Yeah, it's
so I
like
can,
it's all part of the game. Like sampling
yeah,
games, it's made to sample something bad to make it, or something older or a lower quality. I was kind of it was a whole part of the process to make it into something grand or put it in your
exactly.
recordings. It's like part of the process.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Well, listen, Joe, I really appreciate you taking some time to give us some insight on the new pack.
No
Like
problem,
we
man.
said, it's available today at soulsurplus.com. And actually, if you actually pick up volume 2, what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to bundle it with volume 1 if you didn't get it, so that you can actually get volume 1 for 50% off. And that's not just like a 1 week thing. That's just the way it's going to be forever. So, what we want is you guys to be able to have as much at your disposal as possible, but we definitely want to encourage you guys to get the first volume as well. So, Joel, once again, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.